So in physics, there are two scientific laws known as the first and second law of thermodynamics. The first law of thermodynamics states that nothing can create energy, while the second law states that the amount of usable energy in the universe is always decreasing and never increases.
Technically, the first law of thermodynamics says energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can only be converted from one form to another. Now, that would entail that nothing can create energy, but he's really only highlighting about a third of the first law of thermodynamics. And that kind of makes it feel like you're about to cherry pick this law for your own purposes. And the second law of thermodynamics isn't as simple as he puts it. You can express it as the amount of energy in a closed system slowly reducing to the equilibrium state of zero energy. So in terms of the universe, this would be the heat death of the universe. So the entirety of the usable energy in this universe is always reducing down to zero. Typically, this is used by apologists to suggest that evolution can't actually happen or that the Earth couldn't have naturally formed. And I'm kind of interested to see where he goes with this.
If we apply these scientific laws to the universe, then we see that 1, the universe had to have had a beginning, and 2, the universe could not have created itself. The universe had to have had a beginning.
The laws of thermodynamics do not suggest those things. The first law of thermodynamics explains that energy can only be converted from one form to another. The expansion of the universe at the inflation event at the beginning of the universe was just converting energy from one form to another. Now, there are a lot of ways to look at the total energy of the universe, but one of the most popular ways is to see that the universe has always had zero energy. And that is accomplished by the positive energy content of the universe being offset by the negative gravitational potential energy. The first law of thermodynamics only requires that the energy content of the universe remain constant. The total energy of the universe remaining zero as energy changes state within the universe is perfectly in line with the first law of thermodynamics. The second law is a bit more complicated because the laws of thermodynamics don't apply to quantum fields. The fluctuation of a quantum scalar field from a false vacuum state to a true vacuum state can release an immense amount of energy. That energy inflated our universe near instantaneously and then continued normally expanding after that point. The amount of energy released in the inflation event was so hot and dense that not even light could travel through the universe, and atoms couldn't form either. It took about 300,000 years for the universe to cool off enough for the energy to convert from that state into the state that we would recognize as atoms. Since quantum scalar fields aren't necessarily bound by the laws of physics, that would also include the laws of thermodynamics. So the natural inflation of the universe did not break any laws of thermodynamics.
Because if the universe was infinitely old, then all of the usable energy would have ran out by now due to the second law of thermodynamics. However, the universe could not have created itself because no natural thing can create energy from nothing. Therefore, the only rational conclusion is that something supernatural or above nature created the universe.
I don't know how this makes sense. I would think that even if the universe was infinite, we would just be at some point in the dissipation of the universe's energy. You wouldn't really know if you were at zero usable energy or more than zero usable energy. Regardless of that, we know that our universe is not infinite because we have pictures of the Big Bang and all the observable information points towards the Big Bang. And all that doesn't mean that the universe couldn't have just naturally popped into existence. I feel like this apologist doesn't understand the different types of energy that exist. There is also chemical energy and potential energy. If you roll a bowling ball down an alley and you strike a few pins, the bowling ball isn't creating energy. Potential energy is released. When you set off an explosion, you're releasing the chemical energy that's contained within those chemical compounds. These are examples of energy changing from one state to another. And that's all the quantum fluctuation was. It released the potential energy contained within the quantum scalar field. So energy wasn't created, it was released.
This evidence is so convincing, that it's caused atheists to come up with the imaginary idea of the multiverse to avoid the conclusion that God is the one who created our universe.
That's not true at all. The multiverse is not an imaginary idea. It's a real scientific hypothesis, and we currently don't have any information that contradicts it. The best that we can say is, I don't know. And that's just like the case for the current reigning hypothesis of a fluctuation in a quantum scalar field for the natural production of our universe. Prior to this hypothesis, we just didn't know how the universe came into existence. We didn't invent anything to disregard God. God exists outside the parameters of science, so science can effectively never describe God.